1970s horror film and fashion. And this is a little bit of a different spin on this series. What we're going to do is we are going to take a look at the top 10 horror movies with the best fashion. So a little countdown action to change things up. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Ashley, and I'm a lover of all things 60s and 70s, the fashion, the movies, the horror movies specifically, TV, music, and everything in between, just not the values. So if that's something you're into, hit subscribe and stick around. So welcome to the countdown. The top 10 horror movies with the best fashion in 1960. So what was horror, the climate of horror like in the 1960s? Well, let's take a look. It was really defined by throwing out those cheesy 1950s sci-fi monsters in favor of more of a psychological thriller, gothic atmospheres, and taboo breaking violence. It was an era of the foundation of slasher films and also the zombie genre. It showcased social paranoia of a rapidly changing world. So, let's take a look at some of the top horror movies with the best fashion. Now, what were some of the top horror movies in the 1960s? There's a handful, there's tons of them. Mentioning like Psycho, Eyes Without a Face, The Birds. Alfred Hitchcock had a lock on that genre at that time. 13 Ghosts, Black Sunday, to name a few. Rosemary's Baby, Repulsion. Roman Polanski had so many great horror films out at this time as well. But today we're going to look at the top 10 horror movies with the best fashion. So let's get started with the countdown. At number 10 is Black Sunday. 1960, this movie made its debut with the amazing Barbara Steele, who is a horror queen icon of this era. Now, Black Sunday was about a witch being burnt at the stake. The witch vows to enact revenge on her descendants. Hundreds of years later, the witch returns to life and immediately raises her henchmen from the dead, ready to keep her promise. And honestly, I loved the makeup effects in this movie. Barbara Steele, when she had all the holes in her face, amazing. Yes, there's some cheesy like special effects, but overall, the horror makeup was really amazing in this movie, and I enjoyed it. Now, Barbara Steele, the queen of horror herself, is in this. She plays the witch. She is beautiful in a haunted way. Her style in this is iconic in the sense that it's a gothic romanticism. She wears a lot of black clothes, peasant dresses, long flowing gowns. Not really representative of the 60s fashion, but beautiful in a gothic sort of way. It does have a slight nod to 60s fashion when it comes to hair and makeup. Now, the hair, she had a slight bouffant type style throughout the film, as well as her makeup was all about the eyes. And in 1960, it was all about the eyes when it came to makeup. Cat eyes, lashes, the bigger the better, and a really slight nude lip. And that is what is exhibited in this film with Barbara Steele's fashion. Now, coming in at number 9 is Dracula Has Risen from the Grave from 1968. Now, it is a Hammer horror production, and you know that I love Hammer horror. It is really a staple of the 60s and 70s, and they pumped out so many films during this time. And they all had this great gothic atmosphere. Now, what was this film about? It was about a small Transylvanian village who receives the full brunt of Dracula's terror after a priest exorcises his castle. Not a good idea. Christopher Lee is the bloodsucker whose lust for a beautiful young bishop's niece incurs with the wrath of an entire village. Even though the plot of this film is in the 1800s, we see glimpses of 1960s style, with the women co-stars throughout the film showing more cleavage and more revealing outfits, which was a part of the 60s fashion movement, showing more leg with miniskirts and more skin in general. Really part of that youthquake motion. The peasant-style dresses, along with the nightgowns, are reminiscent of the peignoir sets of the time. The makeup was a showcase of 60s eye makeup, being, again, all about the eyes. Cat eye, lashes were all the rage, and it's seen throughout this film. I absolutely love the Hammer horror Dracula films. I just think they're so fun to watch. They have beautiful colors and backgrounds and atmospheres. It really puts you in the movie at that time and place, but like in a 60s way. And when you watch it, you'll know what I mean. Coming in at number eight, the Alfred Hitchcock classic Psycho, which was made in 1960. Now, the plot of Psycho is the Phoenix secretary Marion Crane, played by Janet Leigh, who is mother of the Scream Queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, Marion is on the run after stealing $40,000 from her employer in order to run away with her boyfriend, Sam Loomis. Sam Loomis, I don't know if you guys know, but that's the same name of the psychiatrist in Halloween. See the connection? Now, Marion is overcome with exhaustion after a heavy rainstorm, and she stops at the Bates Motel. She meets the polite but kind of slightly awkward Norman Bates, played by Anthony Perkins, a young man with an interest in taxidermy and a little bit of a difficult relationship with his mother. Now, this is a classic itself, but if you know anything about Alfred Hitchcock, the clothing in this film is actually made to showcase the changes in the character. And Alfred Hitchcock himself did that a lot with his leading ladies. Now, going from Marion wearing a white outfit, and in the beginning of the movie, her being pure and it was more chic and sophisticated. And she had a more conservative 60s look. And then as the movie goes on, she wears darker colors. After stealing the money, the outfits aren't as polished and put together and kind of shows the breakdown of her character. Now, also, not only does Marion have amazing, like classic 60s outfits, meaning I'm talking like longer skirts with a shirt tucked in with a nice collar and a beautiful necklace and this perfectly coiffed, hair. And it was, yes, the epitome of what a 60s woman looked like. We were just coming off the 50s and still kind of in that era of wearing longer skirts and being sophisticated and chic and not wearing pants in public. And that was the vibe of Marion Crane, as was of her sister in the movie as well. Now, her sister has a beautiful look, very similar to hers, but a little bit more stylish. And she is featured in the film as kind of a heroine trying to find what happened to Marion and coming together with Sam Loomis to do that. So she's in this outfit that is, again, a little more adventurous because she is on this adventure to find out what happened to her sister. And she wears this amazing, beautiful pea coat with her skirt and button-up shirt underneath, but the silhouette of this peacoat and how she walks around the hotel and into the Bates home, it is just pure 60s goodness in an outfit. And I absolutely love it. And it's the silhouette that does it for me in that peacoat. Oh, chef's kiss to that outfit. Now, peacoats and kitten heels were all the rage in the early 60s, and this was showcased a ton in this movie with Marion and her sister. And I had to mention it. And if you really love Psycho, want to know more about the fashion in the movie itself, you should check out my Psycho video, 60s and 70s horror film and fashion, and it's under that playlist, so check it out. Number seven on the list is Black Sabbath. No, not the band, the movie from 1963. And it is starring the horror king himself, Boris Karloff. And if you know me, you know I absolutely adore this man. And the reason this was like the first horror movie that I got into was Frankenstein starring Boris Karloff. And I just think he did an amazing job in that role. I think he's just an amazing actor and I just adore him and wish I would have been able to meet him while he was alive. Now, Black Sabbath is about now, the plot of Black Sabbath is Karloff actually introduces the tales of three different stories, and he's actually in one of them. So, the tales are of a haunted nurse, which that one has like a moment of like it is a jump scare, let me tell you. That's all I'm going to say about that one. It also has a story about a stalked call girl. That one has impeccable fashion in it and is very, very, it has you on the edge of your seat the whole time. And lastly, a vampire film. And that is the one that stars Boris Karloff himself. And that one actually is really great. And I love the character he plays because you actually get to see his face in this one, unlike Frankenstein's monster, where he's in a ton of makeup. Now, the real star of the show is the first story when it comes to fashion. It is called The Telephone, and this is the one about a stalked call girl. Now, what I love about this, it shows off the sleek sophistication of the style of the 1960s. Think Breakfast at Tiffany's and the little black dress. This is showcased in this right off the bat as the woman walks into her apartment. Not only does the fashion start off really good, it gets better. She then changes into her night clothes, and these nightgowns are beautiful. Now, nightgowns of the time were really made up of a lot of like baby doll, short nightgowns, lace, beautiful colors. And she has this beautiful lace nightgown. And what I love about the 1960s is the nightwear was impeccable. It was so beautiful. And you went to bed feeling like a glamour queen. And I love that. And it really is showcased by the nightgown she wears. And when her friend comes over, she also is given a nightgown. And they're just beautiful, even though afterward they're brutally murdered. Spoiler alert. It also shows off the fashion of day and night wear. Not only the sleek sophistication of her outfit in the beginning, but the beautiful nightgowns at the end. And the other movies, they do have fun fashion choices. The vampire one is kind of a throwback to the 1800s, so not really a lot of fashion there. The makeup was on point though, for sure, so check that out. And the last one, which is The Haunted Nurse, which has that jump scare, she does have a lot of cool outfits. It's dimly lit though, so you can't really get the full effect of some of these outfits. But if you're interested, take a look at that video and also take a look at my video all about Black Sabbath. It is again on the playlist of 60s and 70s horror film and fashion. Now let's get into number 6. And this one is called Peeping Tom from 1960. Now, the plot is of a loner, Mark Lewis, who works at a film studio during the day and at night takes racy photographs of women. He's also making a documentary on fear, which involves recording the reactions of victims as he murders them. He befriends Helen, the daughter of the family living in the apartment below, and he tells her vaguely about the movie he is making. She sneaks into Mark's apartment to watch it and is horrified by what she sees, especially when Mark catches her. Ooh. But what I love about this film is he's focusing on women to kill, right? So that means there's a lot of fashion, and I love this. It is early 1960s fashion, but it's 1960s fashion at its best. All the ladies that are taken pictures of have fabulous style that comes in a variety of styles, from the Jackie Kennedy look to cigarette pants, which chef's kiss, we love those, to beautiful peignoir sets of the 60s, really showcasing the fashion of the year of 1960. Now, coming in at number 5, another Alfred Hitchcock classic, The Birds, made in 1963. Now, the plot of The Birds is about Melanie Daniels, who meets Mitch Brenner in a San Francisco pet store and decides to follow him home. She brings with her a gift of 2 lovebirds, and they strike up a romance. One day, birds start attacking children at Mitch's sister's party. A huge assault starts on the town by attacking birds. So, if you don't like birds, probably not watch this one because it will put the fear of birds in you, for sure. Now, Tiki Henderson, who played Melanie, was a fashion icon. She had this chic sophistication style that was just pure early 1960s goodness. Now, again, we have to go back to the way Alfred Hitchcock designed his films and the way the costuming was. He really wanted to showcase kind of the change in his characters through some of the fashion choices or costumes he put them in. And he also, with Tippi Henderson, kind of took her under his wings. And there's a whole backstory to that maybe I'll do a true story on that's really sketchy. But for now, all you need to know is once he signed on Tippi as a part of making films with him, he really tried also to, for her public image, make her wear chic, sophisticated things all the time to really promote the film and who she was as a movie star and her image. And so she was really portrayed in the movie like her image was as a movie star, very chic and sophisticated with these like tailored suit jackets, matching, skirts, and really perfect blonde hair. Now, overall, yes, she had this chic sophistication to her. Most of the movie, she is wearing a very Jackie Kennedy-esque outfit, meaning a fitted suit jacket with a skirt. And as the movie goes on, it becomes tattered and it becomes less chic, and it shows the unraveling of her character, which I love that Alfred Hitchcock ties that in. I think it's a cool way to tie in fashion to a movie. And he did this in a lot of his films. Now, really big standout fashion in this movie is when she had the fur coat on. I love that. And fur coats were definitely a staple of sophistication in the early 60s. It was just an iconic moment in the film for fashion. And when you think of the birds, you do think of Tippy in the green suit jacket and skirt, matching skirt with birds like attacking her. That's what you think of. And that is an iconic horror image and especially an iconic fashion image. And at number 4, we have Eyes Without a Face, one of my absolute favorites of the 60s. Made in 1960, it is a film about a doctor who's riddled with guilt after an accident that he caused that disfigures his daughter Christine's face. Most people believe that Christine is dead, but the doctor has kept her in seclusion. And along with his accomplice and laboratory assistant Louise, he kidnaps young girls and brings them to his mansion. After rendering his victims unconscious, he removes their face and attempts to graft them to Christine's. The goal is really to try to make Christine whole again, which is a crazy premise, but also too, this brought to the forefront the idea of the monster isn't somebody that is like a werewolf or a Frankenstein's monster. It brought to the forefront that like a dad could be the monster, and he was the true monster in this film. Now, the fashion in this film got me. Number one, the amazing coats. There were so many amazing like pea coats and long flowing coats in this movie, and it was extremely popular in the time. And in the 60s, long flowing beautiful pea coats were really all the rage. And this is showcased on many of the ladies in this film. Now, Christine has to be spotlighted with her beautiful nightgowns. They had such intricate designs, bows, lace, all these things, and it made it really eerie. It made her character eerie as she like glided through the mansion in these beautiful long nightgowns, but also it showed off the fashion of how beautiful nightgowns and peignoir sets were of the early 1960s. Now, 1960s nightgowns were really revolutionized sleepwear. It introduced the baby doll silhouette, synthetic fabrics like nylon, and brighter, modern inspired patterns. It moved away from like heavier robes from the 50s and really embraced the ultra short hem that we start to see in the later 60s, empire waist, sheer layers, and really like playful designs like lace, ruffles, and ribbons. And you do see this a lot in this movie. And if you've never seen it, definitely check it out. Coming in at number 3, coming in hot, is Blood and Black Lace from 1965. And this one is really where horror meets fashion. Now, it is a very, very stylized movie. And it is directed by Mario Bava. And the story centers on the scandalous Roman fashion house where models are brutally murdered by a faceless trench coat wearing killer in a desperate attempt to retrieve a diary filled with the salon's dark secrets. Now, a little bit of an early kind of foundation slasher, right? This is where ultimately fashion meets horror. It definitely has some fashion moments. The pattern dresses, the geometric silhouettes, the capes are to die for. It's really representing the early 60s Jackie Kennedy look meets new age. meaning that youthquake that was starting to happen, and around the corner into the mid 60s. So it really was a showcase of fashion. It was like a runway show with people being killed off. And I love that. I think that is iconic. And I think it's a very like underrated horror movie of the 60s that most people don't know about. And I love it again because it is horror meets fashion. And somebody had mentioned it in the comments, and ultimately I checked it out and was like in love with it. So thank you for whoever that was in the comments that mentioned that it's a combination of two things I love, because it is. And if you've never seen it, definitely look for it. I love it because it is a slight, like early foundational slasher film. I love a good slasher film, but also, too, like I said, it is a fashion runway of the 1960s, and it doesn't get any better than that. Coming in at number two is Roman Polanski's Repulsion, and that hit in 1965. Now, this is about a young, beautiful manicurist, Carol, who suffers from a pathological fear of interaction with men. When her sister and roommate Helen and her boyfriend leave to go on an Italian holiday, Carol withdraws into her apartment. She begins to experience frightful hallucinations, her fear gradually mutating into madness. And I love the way Roman Polanski like shoots his films. I think it is so I don't know. There's something about it that's different, that's unique, that's refreshing. And I just love the way his mind works and how he puts things to film. And also, he has a great way of showcasing a time capsule of the 60s of like fashion, home decor, and just the environment of what the 60s was in his films. He does it in so many of his films, and I love that. Now, what I loved is all the pattern dresses, their peak 60s early mod fashion, which was extremely fashion forward for 1965. And we were on the cusp of 66, which was when mod exploded. And it was basically the oncoming of the youthquake. The shorter dresses as well were a great sign of the times. Let's not forget the beautiful nightgown seen on the leading lady. Roman Polanski really had his pulse on fashion of the time and made sure to showcase that in all of his films through not only clothing, but also home decor as well. And I love the lead actress's Carol. I love Carol's fashion in this movie. It is so good. Like, if I could rate her closet, like, those are all the things I would want in my 60s wardrobe. I think it was such good, like, fashion. And it was 1965, so it was like right on the cusp of like the mod movement exploding. So you got to think he brought this beautiful style to the masses in this film. And it is definitely, there's a lot of hard moments to watch in this film because of the subject matter, but it is a really, really great film. And again, the way it's shot is brilliant. So if you have ever seen any Roman Polanski films and you've never seen this one, you need to watch it. And number one, drum roll please, is Rosemary's Baby from 1968, another Roman Polanski classic. And what is this movie about? Well, if you've never seen it, oh, you're missing out. And it is about a young wife who comes to believe that her offspring is not of this world. Rosemary Woodhouse and her struggling actor Guy moved to a New York City apartment building with an ominous reputation and slightly off neighbors, Roman and Minnie. When Rosemary becomes pregnant, she becomes increasingly isolated, and the diabolical truth is revealed only after Rosemary gives birth. That scene is iconic. Now, what I love about this movie is it's all like kind of subject to like as you're watching what you believe, meaning you don't know if she's going crazy or if the things she's seeing are like actual things that are like happening or they're dreams. So you're like in this movie like the whole time, like, is she dreaming all this and going crazy? Is it her hormones? Like, what is it? And at the end, it is just kind of like your mouth is wide open. You're just like, wow, that really all just happened. And what I love is it leaves mystery, meaning you never see the baby. You never see what it looks like. They just describe it. They showcase the horror Rosemary uh, experiences when seeing the baby, but you never see it. And I feel like that is such a good thing to do in horror films because what you think in your mind is probably 10 times scarier than what they're going to show on screen. And I love that about this movie. Now, the fashion, oh, it's off the charts for 1960s. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's my favorite. It's all about mini dresses, A-line frames, patterns, featuring baby doll style dresses, as well as Rosemary's many iconic outfits from a collared dress to a printed A-line in the beginning to the maternity wear she wears throughout the film. Not only that, but the hair. A pixie haircut was all the rage in the 60s, with Twiggy making waves for her with her short locks. But also, Mia Farrow was a hairstyle icon herself, having her hair cut by Vidal Sassoon on the set of Rosemary's Baby. She actually later admitted, though, that she had cut her hair herself, and then Vidal Sassoon cut it after. But it was definitely a statement. And it's even said in the movie when she gets her haircut that she went to Vidal Sassoon to get her haircut. And that was all the rage. Geometric haircuts, really sharp lines, and shorter hair for women was something that was so different in the public eye. And it was beautiful on Mia Farrow. Now, Polanski's use of fashion in his film is not just one of his many talents, as well as submerging you in the New York City scene in the 1960s. Really, it's a time capsule, this movie. You go to throughout New York City with Rosemary and you get to see the vibe of New York City in the 60s. You see these apartments with these 60s style couches and lamps and rugs, and it's just like if you love the 60s, this film will make you make a wish list of all the things you ever wanted from the 60s, and that's what I do every time I watch it. And all of the dresses Mia Farrow wears in this movie are just pure 60s goodness, and they're so representative of the times. The A-line dresses she wears, the collared dresses, all of it is so, it's the epitome of 1960s. Her nightwear, she has these beautiful nightgowns she wears. And ah, I can't even tell you how many times I've watched this and just written down things that I wanted from her wardrobe. And I constantly am looking for them, let me tell you, especially the classic nightgown that she wears in the ending scene. Like that would be like a peak moment for me if I found that. So just saying. Now, obviously, this is my list of the top 10 horror movies with the best fashion. I want to know from you guys, what would be some of the movies on your list? Did I miss one? But these are mine, and everybody has opinions, and I think that's fair. But if you have ones that you think should have been on the list, comment below. I would be intrigued to see other horror movies that have really good fashion, so let me know. But overall, the 60s has some horror that was extremely different than the climate of horror in the past. It pushes the envelope in the best way, and also fashion was doing the same exact thing. New looks, the youthquake was pushing strong for shorter skirts and new ideas. And at the end of the day, new ideas was really what the 60s were all about. And shifts in fashion and horror were happening to make way for the next decade of change and innovation. Now, if you like the countdown, let me know. I would love to do more countdowns. I think this is so fun to kind of like take a look at all the movies in the 60s and kind of like what would be number one, what would be number two. It was really fun to make this list. And also just do some research on the different movies in the 1960s that had really great fashion. But also doing that, I also have new movies I want to watch, and they'll probably be featured on this channel really soon. So you're welcome for that. Now, if you like what you saw, please share and like. And if you love 60s and 70s content, horror, fashion, all those things that I love, definitely hit subscribe. Until then, I'll see you next time.